Being too nice is wrecking some of you, and we need to talk about it. If you're the friend who always shows up, the one who lends money you don't really have, the person who helps everyone while your own life collects dust, you're paying a price nobody warned you about. Let me tell you about Jack. This guy spent years being the reliable one, the helper, the yes man. Then, one day, a friend he'd given $2,000 called him the bad person for asking for just a little bit back. That moment broke something in him. But what he figured out after that about kindness, boundaries, and actually respecting yourself, it's gonna hit different. In a quiet town called Clearwater, tucked away in the green hills of Pennsylvania, there lived a guy named Jack. Jack was the personification of the nice guy trope. He had a decent job, a porch with a view, and a heart that didn't know how to say no. If a neighbor's truck died, Jack was there with the tools. If someone was moving into a third-floor apartment in July, Jack was the first one carrying the heavy sofa. He believed that if he kept pouring into everyone else's cup, eventually, his would be filled too. But as the years ticked by, Jack realized his cup wasn't just empty. It was cracked. He was living a powerful emotional motivational story for your life, even if he didn't know it yet. Every Friday night, Jack would sit on his porch, listening to the crickets and watching the sunset over the Susquehanna River. He felt a deep, soul-level fatigue. He began to see that the world doesn't always reward kindness with gratitude. Often, it just rewards it with more work. This wasn't just a bad week. It was the reality of a people pleaser. One Saturday morning, his neighbor Bill walked over. Bill was the type of guy who only knew Jack's name when he needed a favor. He didn't even start with a good morning. He just pointed down the street. "Hey, Jack, my back deck is literally rotting out. I've got the lumber, but I need an extra pair of hands to demo and rebuild. You busy today?" Jack had been dreaming of this Saturday. He'd bought new fishing gear and wanted to spend the morning on the river, finally reclaiming some mental bandwidth. He'd even been watching a self-improvement video or two on YouTube, trying to find some self-awareness tips to help him set boundaries. He'd even looked up training motivation and confidence motivation to find the guts to say he was busy. But as he looked at Bill, that old social anxiety flared up. He didn't want to be that guy. So Jack put his fishing rods away and spent 12 hours in the sweltering PA humidity, hammering nails until his hands bled. When they finally finished at dusk, Bill didn't offer him a beer or even a simple "thanks, man." He just wiped his forehead and said, "Looks solid. Hey, my lawnmower's engine is sounding rough. Since you're already in the work groove, you think you could tune it up for me tomorrow?" Jack went home that night and felt a cold realization sink in. He was paying a price he couldn't afford. He remembered a clip he'd seen once. Alan Watts. The shocking cost of goodness. The message was simple. When you try too hard to be good by everyone else's definition, you end up losing the very thing that makes you you. You become a ghost, serving a world that doesn't even see you. A few days later, a friend named Chris stopped by. Jack had lent Chris over $2,000 the year before. Chris hadn't paid back a cent. Chris leaned against Jack's doorframe and said, "Man, Jack, I'm in a real bind. I just need $500 more to make rent. You're the only person I can trust, man." Jack knew the money was a black hole, but the guilt was louder. He wrote the check. A month later, when Jack's own property taxes came due and he asked Chris for a small part of it back, Chris ghosted him for a week. When he finally replied, he was angry. "I thought we were brothers, Jack. You're really going to pressure me over money? I thought you were a better person than that." That was it. The snap. Jack felt like a fool. He had sacrificed his time, his savings, and his peace, only to be insulted when he stopped being an open faucet. He realized he had been looking for English motivational stories to fix his life. But he didn't need a story. He needed a spine. That evening, Jack sat in a local diner, nursing a black coffee. An older man named Silas, a retired long-haul trucker with a face like a weathered road map, sat down next to him. Silas took one look at Jack and said, "You look like you've been carrying the weight of this whole county, and nobody's paying you for the freight." Jack spilled everything. Silas just smiled. "Son, you're living in one of those moral stories in English, where the nice guy finishes last because he forgets he's allowed to be a person too. Kindness without boundaries isn't a virtue, it's a weakness. You're not being a saint, Jack. You're being a doormat, and doormats exist to be stepped on." Jack asked, "But how do I stop?" Silas leaned in, his voice low. "You protect your peace first. You need the confidence motivation to stand your ground. If you give away all your lumber, you'll never have a roof over your own head. Real goodness has teeth, Jack. It's about being a man of your word, but also a man who respects himself." Jack realized Silas was right. He decided that success is the best revenge. Not revenge against Bill or Chris, but a quiet victory over his own fear. He started following the advice of motivational speakers in English, like Ben Lionel Scott, focusing on his own growth, his own health, and his own time. He realized his life was essentially a folktale story. He'd walked through the dark forest of being used, and now he was finding the light of self-respect. The next morning, Bill knocked. "Jack? Ready for that mower?" Jack didn't hesitate. He looked Bill in the eye and said, "No, Bill, I'm not doing that. I have my own life to catch up on, and I'm going fishing. You'll have to take it to the shop in town." Bill's jaw dropped. He turned red, calling Jack selfish and mean. But Jack just smiled and shut the door. He felt like he was finally watching an inspirational video come to life. But this time, he was the hero of his own story. Clearwater stayed the same, but Jack changed. He stopped being a convenience and started being a presence. Interestingly, people started treating him with way more respect. His yes actually meant something now, because everyone knew he was capable of a no. He started watching the English channel more, using his time to learn English with stories and broaden his horizons. He even met a young guy named Ethan, who was starting a landscaping business. Ethan didn't ask for a handout. He asked for a trade. "Mr. Jack, show me how to fix this blower, and I'll mow your lawn all summer for free." That was respect. That was balance. Jack realized that being a good man is a choice you make for the right people, not a tax you pay to everyone. Jack's journey is a reminder for every millennial and Gen Z out there. You aren't a bad person for choosing your own mental health over someone else's convenience. Real goodness requires you to be whole, and you can't be whole if you're constantly giving away the pieces of yourself. If this motivational story in English hit home for you, or if you just enjoyed these English stories about real life, do us a favor. This is a powerful emotional motivational story for your life, and we want to share more like it. Now look, I'm not going to be like Bill and ask you to fix my deck, but hitting that like and subscribe button is way easier than rebuilding a rotting porch in the 90-degree heat, don't you think? Join the Motive Nice family, and let's keep building something that actually lasts. Stay wise, stay strong, and protect your peace. This is Motive Nice, signing off.